Okay, so now that you've had a chance to look over your data and the notes, tell me, how do you feel about the data that you've just read? Share your thoughts on that first.
Um, I feel like it's helpful to see things that you do all the time, and you know that they're there, but it's when it's on paper, it's like, okay, yeah,
Okay.
it makes it more real, I guess. Um, One thing I noticed that was a lot was that to repeat the norms or review the norms.
Okay, okay.
'Cause I wasn't doing that. And another thing I saw a lot was collecting the things and looking for the students demonstrate, that they were doing what they needed to do. I feel like that's one thing I need to consciously think of more, just from reading my observation.
Okay. All right. So norms, you brought that out, and what I want to do now, and thank you for sharing your thoughts. And do you have any questions, first of all, before we move on the notes that I gave you?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. All right. So let's discuss that. And I want to. There's a whole lot that I saw different this time that I didn't see the first time that are just great do-overs. I want you to continue doing it. Okay. But you have really distinct chunks of your lesson, which is great. You've got a warm-up, which you call a do now. You have a do now. Then you have a vocal warm-up. Then you have a rehearsal, and then you have a writing activity. And I remember you saying before that sometimes you kind of shift that around. It doesn't have to be in the same order every time. But because you have some very distinct parts of your lesson, that's really easier for the two of us to develop some strategies together that we can use for each of those big chunks. What I've already heard you say is that the beginning of my lesson was better managed. When you talked about your self-reflection sheet, you said, in the beginning of my lesson, I could tell that things went smoother and then things sort of went awry again. So if we take a look at every chunk and we take a look at the data that I collected, I think you'll see that again, even in the data, that did indeed happen. So we want to look at strategies that we can add to the other chunks of your lesson that are similar for structure as you did in the very beginning.
Okay.
In your startup routine, I noticed that you used warm-up. You used your do now and incorporated that with the sort of coming into class. You set the timer. Students were still coming into class at that point, getting themselves situated, and the timer was already started. So everybody was getting started at different points during that 10-minute frame of time. I wonder what do you think about tightening that up just a little bit so that there perhaps is a 4-minute coming into class, getting yourself ready period of time, and then have an introduction to the do now that's on the screen, and have them start the do now when everybody is obviously ready to move at the same time, and have us a clear understanding of what your outcomes are for the do now.
I think I had similar thoughts to break it down more and not do like the big chunk. So I did have that thought, and I feel like I think it's a good idea to talk about what the outcome should be by the end of it, because I think they're just thinking I'm just giving them busy work at the beginning. Okay. Just answer these questions so that you have something to fill up 10 minutes of time. However, I don't really want to focus so much time on the theory things that I asked the questions about in the do now. And I tried to make sure that they relate to what I'm doing in rehearsal. But then again, I don't want it to be a class where they just sit in like a music appreciation class either, where they have to sit and do the theory, like worksheets and things. So I gotta find a balance. I need to find a happy balance between the two, the theory and the rehearsal where they understand why I'm
Mhm.
doing each part, you know,
Mhm.
because I think sometimes their thought process is, oh, well, we should just be singing
The entire time.
the whole time. And
Right.
for a person to sing for 90 minutes, I mean, that's really tiring.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I like the fact that they get these breaks of the do now and the writing activity to rest the voice, but it's not like, okay, we're just gonna take a break and then they get totally distracted, like they have something to focus on.
Right.
But I still don't think it's as balanced. But I think splitting it up, like you said, would be a good idea for the do now. So I think I'll do that.
Okay.
And see if it works.
Yeah.
And I also need to, I still haven't posted my norms on the board.
Okay.